Hello, dear friends. My name is Alexey Ognev. I am the CEO of the DigiU ecosystem. I'm in India right now, and just a few minutes ago, Alexander E. and I recorded an interview with the CEO of the Binaryx project, especially for you, about the project, how it started, and what challenges it solved at its launch, what success it has achieved at the moment, and what long-term plans the project has. Answered all the most important questions, and I strongly recommend that you watch this interview carefully and feel the scope of the project, feel the level of the technical expertise of the team, and feel even more deeply those ideas and opportunities that Binaryx opens for our ecosystem and for the whole world. Because this is a project that is now thinking about the future of a very large number of people in many countries. Well, and therefore, once again, I urge you to watch it carefully. You can ask questions in chat, and we will answer them. We will address something to Binaryx, and the main thing is that these questions are important questions that will promote you and those people who will read them. And I remind you that this interview comes ahead of the second snapshot, which will be held at the end of the month, at the end of which all participants will receive Binaryx tokens and NFTs of the AVA project. So, pay attention and try to understand the project we offer you even better as a reward for your investment in the DigiU ecosystem. Enjoy watching. So, dear friends, today I and Alexander E. meet with Oleg Kurchenko, the CEO of the Binaryx project, and ask questions that interest us and you. We have long planned this interview. Now it's finally happening. And in order to have understanding, we will talk in simple words about how the project began, that is, about its past. We will talk about its present, what it is now, what has been achieved, what problems and difficulties the company had when it went this way, became what it is now. And of course, we will talk about the future, about what plans and what prospects this project opens up. Now, I'll give the floor to Alexander and let's begin. Yes, colleagues, hello everyone. We have known Oleg and the Binaryx team for a long time, since last year, and we've seen each other many times at various conferences and blockchain-related events, at various forums and at some private parties. And we were constantly communicating and exchanging news. Among other things, we shared news about the AVA project, and the guys were sharing their successes. And this year, we began to follow the project closely, and the guys managed to solve a serious problem with the legal framework in the area in which they operate. And we thought that this is a very promising area, which in particular Vitalik Buterin talks about, in which we actually want to invest. And that's why we are doing this right now. Great, let's get started. Oleg, I welcome you. Tell me how it started. How did this idea come about? How did you actually start it? Hello, Alexey. Hello, Alexander. Thank you very much for the invitation, and I'm glad to be here. Speaking of how the idea came about, let me tell you a little bit about my experience to make it clear how I got into the crypto world. I've been in software development for over 12 years. I had my own software development company, and since 2016, I found myself in cryptocurrency. I started out by building my own mining farm. Around the same time, I started working in fintech with different startups and solutions. And that led to my decision to make my own cryptocurrency exchange in 2019. Yes, and the main goal of the cryptocurrency exchange was that we planned to tokenize small and medium-sized businesses. So it was an exchange with a tokenization platform. And so, from 2019 until the end of 2021, we were looking for the right legal model and how to combine all of this. But unfortunately, at the time, there was not a proper legal framework for how this could be done. We spent $3 million of our own money to develop an exchange, to find a legal model, and made that willful decision at the end of 2021, which was not the easiest one. But we put the exchange business on hold because the content of the exchange, the leads to the exchange, and the competition in general is very tough in this market. And we decided to focus entirely on tokenization. And at the beginning of 2022, a few months after we finished our activities with the exchange and focused specifically on one direction, we found the right legal model, how we can tokenize any asset. Our most, shall we say, major discovery on this subject was that there was the new type of organization in the United States, in the state of Wyoming, called DAO LLC. To explain more, an LLC is a regular limited liability company. And DAO LLC is a type of LLC that can be managed by a smart contract. And the token holders of that smart contract are the owners of that LLC. Thus, by creating a new LLC and buying real estate, we tokenize the real estate by tokenizing shares of the LLC. Consequently, this brings us to this very transparent way of how tokenization happens. I can even show you how you can verify that property. You can go to our website. You can look at the smart contract address of the property. Then go to the Wyoming State Registry of Companies, open the company that is associated with that property, download the documents for that company, and right in the documents, you will see the address of the smart contract that is operating that company. So now, we are allowing people to build a more proper, more transparent real estate tokenization and management process. So we are solving problems where there is a need to lower the entry threshold for properties. The second huge problem we are solving is the transfer of ownership. By the fact that we can do this now on blockchain, we don't need any intermediaries. That is, we don't need any lawyers, we don't need notaries of any kind, and so on. Because when an asset is digitized by transferring tokens from one address to another, ownership is also transferred. So when blockchain appeared, it solved one basic problem, the problem of transaction settlement. So when Bitcoin and blockchain appeared, they solved one basic problem in the banking industry, the authentication of money and the transfer of money. Accordingly, because of this, blockchain, in principle, as a technology, has been accepted, and it has continued to grow and develop. This has led to the fact that we now have the ability to transfer ownership. And another additional advantage is that since the transfer of ownership occurs within the blockchain and within one LLC, within one company, the owners of these tokens can optimize their taxes. So there is no secondary sale of this property. Accordingly, there is no need to pay tax on the secondary sale. And this greatly optimizes the costs for absolutely all the players who use this technology. Listen, very interesting. That is such a detailed answer. And tell me, please, you've mentioned a lot of things, from the tasks that you solved in this period, at the start or later for you as a CEO. What was the most difficult task? And I don't know, maybe the key one, maybe from a technical point of view, or from a legal point of view. Tell us something. The most important thing that, in my opinion, made it possible for us to create this product is the legal component. Because with the legal component, why couldn't we do tokenization before? And why it didn't work when we were making the exchange? Because there was no correct legal mechanism for doing it. We even had experience with opening a small alternative investment fund. That is, it was a management company that opens funds, and shares in these funds should have been tokenized. But the legal costs of this infrastructure are quite high. It was not profitable for us as a company, and respectively for investors. So we abandoned the idea and continued to look for additional mechanisms. Plus, a very important point is that there was no reliable, clear mechanism of how exactly the tokenization takes place. Here, this mechanism is as transparent as possible. As I said earlier, we have a company. We have the company's legal documents, which we can simply look up in the state register. And we have a smart contract which manages this company. So everything is as transparent as possible. And at every stage, you can trace what actions were, let's say, carried out directly within this company and what events took place with the property. That's great. I get the answers to the questions I was interested in. And what is Binaryx right now? It's clear that this is a project. You have described the tasks that it solves, how it solves them, and what problems you had. But if you try to define it even shorter and show the project not in terms of functions, but maybe in terms of people. Who is in the team? How many people? And what kind of specialists are there? Let's try like this. Okay, very good questions. Thank you very much. I would probably like to start with where the name Binaryx came from. What is that? Binary is just a binary, and X is anything. We are tokenizing real estate assets right now, and we are focused specifically on this market because we see enormous potential in real-world assets. This is what Alexander said in the beginning. Even Vitalik Buterin talks about this. Binance Labs released a report at the World Economic Forum, and they even touched on this topic. So, this is a huge narrative, which will help both the global economy as a whole to develop faster, and therefore the blockchain industry to move to the next stage. Because, for example, if we take our goals, which we set for ourselves, we now have such an ambitious goal in the company to tokenize 1% of global real estate. In order to make it clear how much this is in the equivalent of money, it's about $4 trillion. That is 4 times more than the current capitalization of the entire crypto market. Accordingly, when more players appear in this market, in this field, it's clear that the capitalization of cryptocurrency in general will increase exponentially. And we are right on the edge of that. That is why I'm interested in doing things, and our team is interested. And we all see huge prospects in this direction. Returning to a question about who is in the team, what kind of expertise, and so on. I have already told you about myself, so I will not dwell on my own position. I'll tell you that we have 6 co-founders, Levi Raskin and Andrei Kovalevsky. So Levi Raskin and Andrei Kovalevsky are two good friends with huge expertise in marketing and product building. They fit together very well because their main key expertise is user engagement. They have worked for big companies like Lenovo, Samsung, Streetbeat, and other companies. They have built interesting products with great proficiency and even worked with cryptocurrency exchanges. And we actually got to know them when we were doing the crypto exchange. And we understand how much they know how to create the right user paths in order to optimize costs and optimize marketing budgets, which is one of the main sources of spending money directly within the company. Then there are our CTO and analytics director, Dmitry Green and Andrei Machiavelli. They are also two huge components that work together very well. Because Andrei Machiavelli, for his part, is a very talented DeFi analyst, and he constantly brings some new ideas and narratives to the team and helps us see trends. And therefore, it's his, shall we say, credit that we found this legal model that we use now, because he was the first to notice it, and we started digging in this direction. And accordingly, he and the technical director work very closely together and are able to create products, or rather design products, that haven't been on the market yet. Plus, we have a person with tremendous experience in real estate in our team. This is our CBDO, and his name is Alex. He's been in sales for many years. Now he has his own business, which generates him revenue. This company is a real estate agency in Turkey, Dubai, and Bali. They sell for more than 100 million euros a year. So it's a huge sales department, a huge agency, which is already operating and is therefore successful. So all this experience combined together gives us, shall we say, what we are building and where we are now. We recently had our first tokenization case. We sold our first property in 14 hours. But before that, of course, we built up a huge community in a few weeks, literally. It was 35,000 users on Twitter and 19,000 users on Discord. Of this entire community, over 6,000 users passed our beta test and therefore participated in product testing. They helped us identify our weak points and showed us where we need to improve our product. After that, we launched in the mainnet, made this sale that I'm talking about. Over 1,000 users went through KYC. We, unfortunately, have to collect KYC now. We are preparing a tool for the DeFi industry and the cryptocurrency market, with which you can invest in real estate without KYC. I'm not going to talk too much about it right now. I think we can do a separate session about it, because it's a pretty broad topic. Automated market maker for real estate tokens. So, 199 people ended up buying property tokens of this first property that we tokenized. So, these are the results. I can touch on another topic where we plan to go. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. We'll get to that in a moment. We actually watched pretty much live as tokens and real estate were being bought. And a lot of our colleagues in our community didn't make it. But it was impressive. I realize that a lot of work has been done to create this kind of result. And look, now I'm going to have probably a couple more questions about the market. That's what I'm interested in, about the target audience. And then we'll go into the future plans. Alexander will take our conversation where it needs to go. Look, you are not the only company in this market. How do you differ from your competitors? And who do you distinguish as your competitors? I understand. I've read the presentations and I've watched. I know these companies. Let's focus on that a little bit and highlight your differences. Okay, this is also a very good question, because we literally just recently started to redesign our positioning, because we follow our competitors very closely, and most of them are the ones who have successfully tokenized real estate. They work, and they have the right legal model of something, not through NFT and unclear mechanisms, but exactly through such tokenization, through the legal field. Because we believe that without legal regulation, this market cannot exist in principle. And therefore, NFT is not an option in this market. That's why we focused on the legal component when we created the platform. And speaking of competitors, we keep an eye on all of our competitors. Most of them are now in the United States and work exclusively for that market. We took a little different path. We are now trying to provide the opportunity for our investors to make diversified investments in real estate in different parts of the world. We are focusing on Bali, and we are now preparing to go to the second region, Dubai. What is that for? Because if you have, for example, $10,000 or $20,000, which you want to invest in real estate, you won't have to keep it all in one property and worry if something happens to it. So now, we see the situation in the world. People are suffering from recession, inflation, and bubbles in the market. And therefore, some real estate markets are overheated. We are focusing on those markets that have tremendous growth potential right now. Plus, fantastic demand, because we see it in the market and how this demand is being generated. Why are people going to Bali right now? Let's talk about this. Why is Alexander in Bali now? It's summer there, all year round. It's comfortable all year round. The ocean, the jungle, the mountains, basically everything. And there are more and more people who can afford it now. They are migrating from their more expensive regions, from the EU, from the United States, from huge cities to small provinces, or completely different places somewhere else. Why? Because people travel more now. Foreign countries are becoming more open. There are more digital people and more expats who move to warmer countries and work remotely. Plus, the pandemic has also increased demand for housing. And we are focusing on residential properties, because this is the fastest growing market in the world. Accordingly, these are the locations that we are focusing on now. They are more interesting in terms of return on investment for our users. For the investors who are investing in these properties that we are tokenizing. And this brings a lot of opportunities for them. But if you take our approach and differentiators in general, as we distinguish ourselves, basically, the other players, they tokenize exclusively their properties. And that's their main goal. But our goal is to solve the problems that exist in the real estate market. I have already touched on them a little bit. I will not go too deep now. I'll just list them again. It's a high entry threshold. It's diversification of investments in real estate. It's the liquidity of these properties, so they can be easily sold and easily bought, which allows users to invest with more confidence and not worry that their assets will remain, let's say, non-liquid. And plus, build infrastructure for existing real estate players. So this is what others are doing. They're tokenizing their properties. We are building a platform where companies that are already working with the real estate market can come, place their properties, and then those properties will be audited by exactly the same companies that have been working with this for quite some time. They understand how all compliance and due diligence processes are structured in this market. Accordingly, this whole process is recorded on the blockchain. And when the property that we are focusing on now is, as I said, a residential property, when it's already tokenized, there are still partner companies that deal with property management. And this is a huge opportunity for them to receive an additional flow of applications from our platform and therefore manage these properties. They will deal with everything, from management to finding tenants, collecting rent, paying taxes, and so on. And by collecting money in local currency, they will then change it all to USDT, send it to the smart contract of the property, and the income will be distributed to people automatically, of course. So, we are building a platform where real estate players and investors can interact with each other. And that will allow anyone to tokenize their property. Wow, that's great. I'm delving even deeper into what you are doing now. And do I understand correctly that if you look at the target audience, your target audience is both sellers and buyers? Sellers, specifically those who sell in regions such as the Arab Emirates and Indonesia at the moment, right? Yes, that's right. And the buyers are anyone who is in any country in the world, right? Yes, you are absolutely right. We are now focusing mainly on B2B cases, and therefore we are creating tools for players. And so, we were just considering with you the possibility of creating a white label solution. And now we are thinking about how to build it properly. And I think we'll find a way to do it together. Plus, I see huge prospects in this, because it's one of those tools that will help any players to tokenize their properties. And with you, we will have, I think, the first case. So we are mainly concentrating on B2B at the moment. But with B2C side, you are absolutely right. Anyone who wants to invest in real estate will be able to get in and do it without any problems. That's amazing. Alexander, I suggest we move on to the future. Or ask some clarifying questions if you have any. Well, there are some about the future, and probably some clarifying ones about the current time. I know that you are in several accelerators right now. Tell me, what does this give you? What are you there for? And in how many are you participating right now? Yes, we have a pre-accelerator in a startup called Wise Guys. It's one of the top startup accelerators in the European Union. Next, we are going through an accelerator at Web3 Port. This is an accelerator for Web3 startups. And in Mind, if I'm not mistaken, it's where Ava also got its accelerator. At one of the sessions, they showed your slides as a very good case when they taught us properly how to cooperate with investors and what a pitch deck for a company should look like. They used you as an example because, as I get it, they are very proud of the Ava project. What do accelerators mean for us? First, it helps us identify our weak points. And accelerators help us show where to strengthen ourselves. That is the first thing. Secondly, accelerators give us the opportunity to go directly to funds that will invest in us and help us build the right model of working with them. What for? To attract some smart money. Smart money is not just about money. By and large, it's not a value right now. Value is connections. Value is the community. And value is users for any startup. And so, we are working with accelerators now to get more smart money from them. And they have a huge number of funds that are very closely linked to us directly. I have already mentioned that we are building a B2B solution. And that is how we will make white label as a platform. But also, from a B2B point of view, we are now preparing to start interacting with various financial applications, such as crypto exchanges, wallets, neobanks, and so on, so that their users can invest in properties through their platforms, but using our technology. I mean, number one, what is the advantage for them? It's a new tool on the market. It's not available everywhere else right now. Consequently, this is a huge opportunity. And number two, for us as a startup, it's a new inflow of users, a new inflow of money that will be invested in tokenized real estate. Correspondingly, this directly affects our capitalization. And number three, it's the development of the entire market for the crypto industry. I hope I answered your question. Yes, you did. Absolutely. Yes, we know InMind. InMind is already our investor. And they also speak very positively about you. And they were glad that we actually know each other and that we cooperate. I was in Hong Kong the other day and attended their event. I am now wearing a t-shirt from the Hong Kong Web3 Fest. You said you plan to partner with crypto exchanges, neobanks, and so on. And the question then is the following. Will it be possible to buy tokenized properties with fiat money? Or only cryptocurrency holders can do that? It's great that you asked me that. It's probably about the future already, right? Because I understand that you have Alexei in charge of the present and you are in charge of the future. It's like from a Christmas fairy tale, you know? Yes, we plan the next steps now. They refer to target audiences with whom we work. We understand that in order to bring mass adoption to this market, which is what everyone is fighting for, we need to introduce some tools which will allow us to build more understandable user paths, which already, let's say, exist in the market with authorization through social networks, through emails, and so on. That is basically the way to move from Web 2 to Web 3 is through Web 2.5. And now there are tools that allow you to authorize in Web 3 startups with emails. These are tools such as Magic Links and Web 3 Auth. They allow us to authorize a user via email and simultaneously create a wallet for him, and accordingly getting him into the Web 3 industry. That is, we are now integrating these solutions for ourselves. This way, it will be possible to authorize very simply with emails. In the same way, the possibility of authorization via MetaMask will remain. That's for those who already know how to do this via Wallet Connect. And at the same time, we will connect the possibility to pay, buy tokens, buy tokenized real estate, buy credit cards, bank transfers, and so on. Yes, because we see it as a huge opportunity. People have a need for it, and it will give us a big advantage, just in terms of mass adoption and attracting more users for our project. Cool. Well, obviously, it opens up a great number of other markets. not just crypto users, but also those who don't have cryptocurrency. I guess we are getting to that. A matter of concern to so many people, and us as your investors. Well, actually, to the question of tokenomics. The question sounds like this. In simple terms, we as investors are interested in how we will all make money by investing in your project. What will happen to your token? Thanks for the question. Let's probably start first with the business model. How does the project make money? In order to understand how the token will bring opportunities for investors to make money. We currently have three main sources of income. The first source is the primary tokenization. We take our percentage. The second source is from the secondary market, from the sale of the token on the secondary market, when there is a resale between people. I think that this will become one of the main sources of income for the company in the future. And the third is recurring payments from rent. That is, those management companies we interact with and that manage properties on the platform that are tokenized through us have their commission, which they take from payments. And therefore, we take a commission from these management companies. In other words, this is a source of income that will be generated continuously and enable us to bring in money recurrently, even if new properties stop being tokenized. For example, even if we tokenize all the real estate in the world. But as we know, this is almost impossible because something new is constantly emerging. And in terms of growth, where do we plan to go? I have already said that we are now focusing on the residential real estate market because it's the easiest mechanism to invest in. And in the future, we'll create an additional product called Launchpad. We now have a marketplace, but on Launchpad, there will be opportunity for real estate developers and real estate agencies to sell properties under construction. This is where mostly common construction companies make money. I'm sorry. This is where construction sites mainly make money. And this will give investors an opportunity to take part in investments at the construction stage. And later on, there will also be commercial real estate. Where can all this go? We talk a lot about this within the team. And we started by tokenizing small and medium-sized enterprises. So who knows? Maybe we will come back to this idea too. Also, there was such an interesting idea to tokenize a Lamborghini in Dubai and let token holders ride that Lamborghini. To do, let's say, tokenization of car rental. That is also possible. It's not a problem. And the prospects for growth here are incredible. We are at an early stage now, building the infrastructure. But it's about how the business will be filled with money, about how owners and token holders can make money from it. What is set in place now is that we have two main utilities in the company, which we are providing now. The first utility is governance, which is management. The second utility is the distribution of company revenues to token holders. We are planning to distribute up to 100% of our revenues to token holders in the future. And due to the fact that we are decentralized, the platform will operate autonomously. Plus, we will have our own foundation, which will cover all the operational needs. That is, part of the profit can be distributed between the token holders and accordingly those who own tokens. This will give us the opportunity to sort of attract more investment to people. And people will be interested in buying our token. And therefore, its price will increase. So it's a pretty simple model. In terms of additional utilities that can still be introduced here, as we are now building these tokenization chains, both management and property tokenization chains. So at each of the stages, of course, I already said that we have partner companies who work in their local jurisdictions and understand how interaction takes place in those jurisdictions. But we understand that the bigger the business, the bigger the platform, the more people will want to get involved and tokenize their properties. Or management companies that will want to take on properties for management, and so on. That is other players. And it's clear that for these players, we will also be introducing additional tools with which they will use tokens of our platform, and that will create additional utility. Okay, well, I mean, if I understand correctly, you are in this narrative that is quite trending right now. It's real yields, so to speak. It's not just farming. It's not a reward with some token. Your token holders, stakers, will receive a real reward in the form of USDT, as if from the income that your platform earns. Yes, you are absolutely right. We are in that trend. Plus, you can look at all the traction inside the blockchain. See how the profit was generated, because it will come from the sale of properties and from rentals. This money, of course, cannot come out of nowhere. And if you take, for example, the same Anchor protocol that promised a 20% annual return, then here, that money can, in principle, come from buying and selling real estate. And it will be a clear mechanism that can be traced, that can be proven, that it can be audited and show that, for example, we have this particular return, and that's how it was generated. Very cool. Well, I guess I have one last question. Maybe you can share some insights on negotiations with potential partners that you are having now. It's clear that these are not some statements or promises yet, but just please share some inside information. Well, I can share about the partnership with Ava. We are now planning to implement Ava in order to build cross-chain solutions and immediately capture all the blockchains that Ava works with. And therefore, to enable users to tokenize properties on blockchains they want, so they can do it themselves. As we build the tools to do this, we need to provide as broad a list of blockchains on which you can do this as possible. Plus, Ava will give the ability to transport tokens between blockchains, and therefore get money on the blockchain where it is beneficial to the user themselves, which is also a huge advantage. As for partnerships, for example with exchanges, wallets and so on, we are now at the stage of negotiations with Trustee Wallet, with Snowball Money. It's a startup in the USA, and platforms such as Firestarter. Firestarter is a partner platform by Snowball Money. These are our fellows who make it very easy for US citizens to invest in crypto with a credit card. And they are also now making their solution as Web3 extension or browser extension for their wallet. Plus, we are now negotiating with the Coinstore exchange in order to do integration with them as well. So we have quite an extensive, great amount of communication right now. And I may not know about all the partnerships, because there is a business development department that deals with this. So I'm not aware of all the partnerships anyway, all the communications. Because there is also communication with a huge number of ambassadors. It's impossible to keep track of everything. I mainly focus on the product and operational management of the company at the moment, building infrastructure. That is, I cover the tasks that the CEO of the company has. I focus on how the company will generate money. Great, but I guess I have no questions. I just wish your project to succeed and capture the market. We will try our best to help you as much as we can, both as your investors and as part of the EVA project. We are all in the same community. We are communicating with the same funds, the same projects, the same accelerators, and so on. So, let's be friends. And in general, I have no questions. I will ask something else, if Oleg is okay with that. Yes, of course. Well, such a simple question. When should we expect the next properties? Because we have a lot of people who are getting ready. I was talking to our partner from Croatia 2 days ago, and he turned out to be a fan of your project. And maybe he has known you for a long time. And he said, we want to do it here. The context is such that they ask, when is the next object? That is, people want to test the mechanics of the properties tokens as well. How to buy, how to pass KYC. So they are interested from this point of view. And also in terms of income and management. So when will it be possible to test the next flat or apartment? About the next apartment. This Friday, we have a call with the team. And we just had a big strategy session after the first successful case. We spent quite a lot of time on it. We did a review of some of our main points where we need to focus, and also strengthened our competence there. And this Friday, we will set a date for the next sale. I think the announcement will be next week. In other words, you will be able to follow the project news, and therefore it will be clear when the next sale will take place. Based on the initial information, the sale will be in mid or late May. Excellent. It was hard to imagine a better answer. Is the location known? Yes, it is known. It will also be in Bali. We are focusing on Bali now because Bali is one of the best markets right now in terms of returns, returns on investment, and returns on property, both in money, through rentals and capital growth, through the value of the property itself, and on capital appreciation. So at the moment it's Bali. And I think that the first 10-15 properties will probably be tokenized in Bali. And other properties will be in other regions, in other locations. And yes, going back to insights, as for other locations, we are negotiating now and have partners in Dubai who are ready to provide real estate. The Anantara Hotel, for example, if you heard, is on the Palm in Dubai. Also, we have partners who want to tokenize in Turkey. And there was also some interested in tokenization in Mexico. Cool. I've also been asked recently about real estate tokenization in Turkey. I'll pass on the contact to you. Yeah, sure. Well, I'm basically out of questions. Alexei, I recommend that we seriously consider launching Marketplace. Well, as a white label solution under its own brand, based on the Binaryx technical platform. In my opinion, this is a very promising direction, which also opens up a lot. And moreover, if the guys are developing towards tokenization in general of everything, that is, the tokenization of businesses, not just real estate, then that could too be in the future. I think of maximum interest. I completely agree here. And we are already doing research. And as Oleg said during his answers, maybe we will be one of the first to launch our own marketplace. and we do have a lot of plans. Thank you, Oleg, for taking time to answer our questions in great detail. And I wish you all the best. And we will provide all possible assistance from our ecosystem to make it work. Thank you very much, Oleg. And thank you very much, Alexander. See you soon. Thank you very much for inviting me, guys. It was very nice. Super interesting questions. And I'm sure we'll have a productive and interesting partnership. Have a good day. Thank you for coming. Goodbye, everyone.